Do you ever have one of those weeks where you feel like you're kind of reinventing yourself a little bit? I cut all my hair off. Well, had my extensions removed and then cut all my hair off. Started working out again, drinking more water, cutting back on caffeine. Pretty much we've got about 5 days until I ultimately crash, burn, and then we start the cycle back over again. In the spirit of trying new things, I want to do a video that's a little bit different than any of the videos I've ever done before. I'm going to be reading to you 1-star hospital reviews. This is kind of inspired by the Gus Johnson series where he reads 1-star reviews from small towns. I find that series to be hilarious, and I thought, what better thing to read reviews about than hospitals? If you've ever worked in a hospital, you know there are times when people are very, very entitled and opinionated, and I don't want to take away from these people's experience. For all I know, their experience was horrible and these reviews were 100% justified. Reading them without context is really funny, and I'm gonna do that today. There's a few different Instagram accounts that I'm going to be taking reviews from. I will link them all in the description so you guys can check them all out for yourselves. 1 star, just went there for a checkup and left without a leg. 1 star, this is an awful ER. From the care, customer service to the cleanliness. I brought my daughter in who was 17 months at the time. We were never taken to a room, ever. We stood in the hallway and a PA checked her out as my daughter was screaming bloody murder. They have the worst care I have ever experienced. I do not recommend this place. They were treating and administering meds in the waiting room. Sick and a HIPAA violation. I totally forgot that HIPAA says every patient needs a private room. 1 star. Your ER department needs an entire overhaul. Arrived at 11:50 a.m. to see a doctor for severe acid reflux. Signed in and began waiting. At 3 p.m. asked how much longer and was told they had no idea. At 4 p.m. asked the same question and received the same answer. At 5 p.m., same routine, and also at 6 p.m. At that time, I left. Your hospital should be moved to a third world country because that's the kind of service you would receive here. You staff your ER like a Home Depot. Not enough staff to do the job effectively. Keeping the cost down by not having enough doctors on staff. This is all about making as much money as possible, and to hell with our patients and their well-being. All your slogans and promises are garbage. We as patients don't care about slogans and promises. All we want is to be treated in a timely manner. The person in charge of that department should be forced to sit there for 6 to 10 hours waiting to be seen by the few doctors that are available. Then you might see what you put us through. If you are not feeling well when you arrive, be assured that you will feel worse waiting for 7 to 10 hours for them to call your name. You should be ashamed to offer that kind of service. It sounds like it wasn't an emergency and you would have been better suited at an urgent care. 1 star. This hospital is slow. They could have been faster to save Juice WRLD. Too soon. Same review. 1 star. Juice WRLD died here and could have easily been saved. 1 star. Charged me with a misdemeanor disorderly conduct for spitting in a nurse's hair while I was being detained from being in a blind rage, punching myself continuously in the face. Even apologized and still have to pay $400 in my savings that took me 6 months for a vehicle to finally get on with my life over this. My opinion, they just want to charge $6,500, $7,500 a night to launder taxpayers' money, especially if you have medical assistance, into businesses like this, just to say you're helping mental health patients out. But honestly, you are not. You're just making the wealthy wallets fatter, in return having rich snobs charge patients that weren't right in their minds at the time with crimes. Also, you should expect that kind of behavior working in a psychiatric unit for unstable adults. Hint, hint. I hope that $400 treats your hair well. I know how much abuse it went through, and I'm oh so sorry. I don't even know what to say about that one, other than that poor nurse. 1 star. Refused to let me see my own mother. Had 4 armed security escort me off the property when I asked to see a manager. They are absolutely nuts. I'm sure she was acting perfectly sane, but that's definitely not the whole story. 1 star. If you're gushing blood from a neck wound, have been shot 17 times, and your appendix just ruptured, drive past the hospital and head to someplace that is more qualified to help you, like or a truck stop, or the list is pretty much endless. I just want to say you lived to write this review, and like, what if I've only been shot like 16 times? 1 star. Rude, inconsiderate, demeaning, judgmentally bred, except the kitchen is cool. Chef Mike is a badass. Was he the one that made the judgmental bread? Must have been one hell of a turkey sandwich. 1 star. My friend was here recently. It was one of the worst things I have ever seen. When she arrived at the hospital, she did not know what was going on. She sat in a cold room for hours without anything provided. They told her she was not allowed to have her phone. After she had asked respectfully why she couldn't have her phone, they simply replied with an "I don't know." They wouldn't let her know anything else. When she was talking to one of the nurses, they said she was not allowed to wear shorts above the knee. In all, this is the worst place ever. Definitely sounds like a psych sit to me. 1 star. I have never stopped by or visited, but doesn't look good from the road. Signed, Jaco. A solid rating for all hospitals, honestly. This is like the review when people give a recipe 1 star and they say they didn't have any of the ingredients for the recipe. That is so funny. Curb appeal is everything in healthcare. Worst hospital I've ever been in. The staff is excellent, however. The way the place is set up, you will never sleep more than an hour in a row. The beds are medieval toucher devices. The patients with dementia are through the hospital, keeping people disturbed constantly. The staff comes in and out of your room, turning on lights and continuing discussions with zero regards for patients. Expect to be lied to about every appointment you're expecting. Death is an option worth considering before entering this comedy store. 1 star. If I only had one breath left before I die, I would use it to say, "Don't bring me to..." I don't know why that's so funny. Alex is very rude and nasty. If this is a religious-based facility, she definitely is a demon herself. Before looking up, I had 2 insurances. She gave inaccurate information. Very apathetic and lazy. Ambulance drivers are extremely careless. I was driving home from work today passing the hospital and had an ambulance pull out next to me and proceeded to cross over 3 lanes of traffic, cutting me off, without braking or using turn signals in the middle of the pouring rain. I blared on my horn and the man in the passenger seat stuck up his middle finger at me, and the driver threw his hands up, continued driving, and he was swerving back and forth in the lane. Pretty sure he was on his cell phone. Extremely immature EMS. 1 star. As I have said in the past, this hospital needs to stop calling the BGPD every stinking time somebody is being disorderly. You have them locked up and permanently scar their records for life, potentially, by doing so. I don't care how much hiring a private security staff or investing in restraints costs you. This hospital needs to stop crying to the BGPD every time some drunk or disorderly person becomes too much for a hospital to handle. Ever hear of restraints? Get with the 21st century. WCH. Stop calling the police because you're just too lazy, too busy, or too intolerant to learn to restrain and detox disorderly people. Trust me, it is a better and more progressive way forward in the 21st century and would do you and the community, not to mention the economy, stop having people arrested by calling the police and marking up their record. Can't find the money to do it?
Figure something out.
I see another person was recently arrested on May 19th at that hospital. Enough is enough. 1 star. Self-verified patient. Had my dreams crushed here. Was this posted by an employee? 1 star. They told me they can shut down consciousness for good. They gave me a drug called Chiz on the side of the road. 1 star. Our 16-year-old daughter spent 12 days there and came home far worse than when she went in. She was able to interact with teenage boys and came home with a boyfriend she met there and a plan to run away to get back to him. 1 star. This hospital needs to be investigated. I hear a wiretap simulation device was implanted in my chest without my permission. I have already contacted the board and I have 2 doctors say they hear people talking in my chest. Charges will be filed. I heard the device was implanted by request of one Gloria Hunter with the city of to keep track of me, calling me a hostage, a government slave. They are wiretapping, hacking my phone, doing simulations, and refuse medical malpractice, evasion of privacy. The surgery was performed by Dr. Hathaway and they already admitted they owe me $5 million. I'm pretty sure I've taken care of this patient before. 1 star. No one has checked in on my wife nor brought her food. She needs things. 1 star. Trash. Simple, yet effective. 1 star. My husband went to this hospital last evening for swelling in his leg and asthma issues. 12 hours later, they finally gave him an inhaler. As he was taking his second puff, a nurse snatched it from his hand, assaulting him. He started to yell at her when another male nurse came in and punched him. They kicked him out into the street with a severely swollen leg, unable to catch his breath. The cops arrived when he was in front of the hospital waiting on a ride, and They immediately tased him. I recorded them assaulting him and him screaming that he could not breathe. I'm absolutely hiring an attorney. At this point, I do not know if my husband is dead or alive. That was a roller coaster. I don't feel like that's exactly how it went down, but I can't say for certain. You don't know if your husband is dead or alive. I feel like you should figure that out before writing a Google review. She flatlined and still nobody came. Luckily, she was able to pull herself out of it. Miracles do happen. That's really funny. Okay, let's finish out strong. 1 star. I'm 32 years old and they used me as a guinea pig hospital experiment by placing me on dialysis and billing my insurance $90,000. There will be karma by God and law. 1 star. I died here. I worked as a tech for 2 years in the emergency department before I started on labor and delivery. These reviews bring me right back. This literally is how it is in the emergency department. If you've worked in an emergency department or really anywhere in a hospital, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. These are not satire. I am almost positive. These are real reviews. Let me know, guys, what you think of this video and if you think I should do more videos like this. I know it was pretty different than other videos I've done in the past. Thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you next time. In the meantime, make sure to leave me a 5-star review on Yelp. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.